From our 22 News Broadcast Center, this is 22 News in Focus.
Good afternoon and welcome to 22 News in Focus. I'm Ciara Speller. The first day of school is quickly approaching, and on the list of things to do for parents, scheduling annual physicals for their children. Today on 22 News in Focus, we'll be discussing what doctors look for when examining your child and the many services available to help keep your child healthy. So joining me now is Dr. John O'Reilly, Chief for the Division of General Pediatrics at Bay State Health. We want to thank you for being on the program.
Welcome.
So why is a physical before the start of school recommended?
Well, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends a yearly physical for all children between ages 2 and 21. If your child hasn't had that physical and school is coming up, it's a perfect time to do both. If your child had something last October and they were perfectly healthy, you can probably reschedule next October, but we want our kids healthy, primed, and ready for school. So if they're due a physical, call your pediatrician and come in and we can check your kids out.
And what's included in a physical for younger children? What specifically should doctors be looking for?
Well, in all physicals, we really screen for a lot of issues in terms of growth, development, behavior. We're always going to do a head-to-toe physical exam to look for any concerning medical problems, especially things that might impact school, such as allergies or asthma or headaches per se. And I think in the younger kids, we're really focused on development. How are they doing with their fine motor? Are they ready for penmanship? Can they draw a picture? How about their gross motor? Can they keep up with their kids? How is their speech and language? And we sort of screen to say, is this child ready for kindergarten, ready for school? Or might they need some evaluations with a physical therapist or an occupational therapist? And simple things like we want to know they can hear the teacher and see the teacher. So we'll be doing a lot of screenings from head to toe to make sure they're healthy and ready for school.
And what about adolescent health issues? What are your concerns when examining a teen?
Well, teenagers and the teen years, adolescence in general, is an area where a lot of things are changing. They're undergoing puberty. There's kind of that shift between dealing with the parents and what are their peer impact on them. And they're going through a lot of issues of identity, a lot of issues of their body changing. So we do a lot of extra time with teenagers finding out what questions or concerns they have, what questions or concerns their parents have, but really taking that holistic head-to-toe approach and make sure they're also ready not only for the education of school, but all the social things that come within school and outside of school for them to be prepared for.
And Dr. O'Reilly, I want to ask you, what types of screenings are standard for children and teens?
Well, every child that comes into our office gets a few general types of screenings. We have the general health screening about any health concerns they might have, any problems they're having, reviewing their medicines, their allergies, that sort of stuff. We also have a questionnaire about behavior issues or concerns, again, both from the parent's perspective and from the child's perspective. And for adolescents, really, we give them their own space because they're a little bit more confidential questions they might have about sexuality or sexual activity, substance use, any sort of high-risk behaviors. And in general, kids, teenagers specifically, are more likely to answer questionnaires than a direct question, but that questionnaire opens us up to have those bigger conversations. And pediatricians, we're trying to create that safe space in which they can bring us any concerns they have and know that we'll listen to them and help them work through whatever they're going through.
And I want to ask you about immunizations. What immunizations do students need before they head back to the classroom?
Well, every child generally before the age of 2 has had a series of vaccines. And as we get into 4 or 5 years old, those vaccines have started to wane. So before kindergarten, they're going to get a booster that includes tetanus and pertussis and diphtheria, measles, mumps, rubella, polio, so that at kindergarten, where kids are coming from all over the country, all over the world really in our area, they know they're protected against all these infectious diseases. Now those vaccines also wane a bit, and so by 7th grade, we're giving the kids another series of vaccines, again, updating them and protecting against tetanus, pertussis, diphtheria, but also a new form of meningitis that they'll encounter at that age group. So they get that as well. And then at 16, they get a booster of that meningitis shot. Now, school doesn't require the HPV vaccine, but it is an important tool to prevent your child from getting cancer as an adult. So that's something we give in the 9 to 14 age group. So you should also talk to your pediatrician about that vaccine as well.
And if a parent hasn't made an appointment yet, can they just go to a walk-in clinic, or what's the best option for them?
Well, they can go to a walk-in clinic, and I think what happens with walk-in clinics is that some are very good. Some are used to pediatric patients. Some will deal with some of the psychosocial or emotional issues, but some may be busy and some may be adult providers. So I tend to say to parents, you should get your child's yearly physical exam in their medical home with a doctor that knows them, that has their past history and knows what happened with their asthma 2 years ago, or know what diseases run in the family and what should be screened for. So if they're forced to go to a walk-in clinic to get into school, they might have to do that, but please call your pediatrician first and see if they can try to fit your child in to be seen in their own medical home.
And lastly, I want to ask you, if a child has a chronic health condition that requires medication, what information do they need to give their school?
So that's really important. So over 30% of our kids have some form of chronic disease. So whether that's asthma, diabetes, allergies, all kinds of things. So the school needs to know they're partnering with families, they're partnering with pediatricians. We put those illnesses on the list, as well as their medications, and the pediatrician will do specific forms about when they can use their asthma inhaler, or when we check their blood pressure or blood sugar, and when they can get their headache or migraine medicine. So we're working as a team, and that's an important part of keeping your child healthy and in school.
And when we return, we'll have some ideas on how to get your kids back on schedule. You're watching 22 News in Focus. Welcome back to 22 News in Focus. Today we're discussing how to get your children ready for the new school year with Bay State Health pediatrician Dr. John O'Reilly. Dr. O'Reilly, I want to ask you, when should parents start setting up sleep and eating routines?
Well, kids really thrive with routines. And I think in the summer, parents kind of let it slip a little bit. And I think we want them back in that school routine by the time a week or so before school starts. And I think for some parents, their kids have stayed in a nice routine and they probably don't have too much of an adjustment. But for some parents whose kids are up at 2 in the morning texting their friends, boy, that's going to be a big adjustment to get them getting to sleep by 9 or 10 at night. So I think you judge how long it will take based on how far your child's off that routine. But really starting now to say, boy, I'm going to back them back an hour this week and another hour and another hour. So think about where they need to be come September and where they are now, and break it down into small steps to get them set with that and getting them up in time. It's a rude awakening if you're waking them up at 6 o'clock and they're used to waking up at 10. So start early, get their brain and their body in a good routine to be ready for school.
And how much sleep should children get, depending on their ages?
Well, it does depend on ages to some degree. And the babies get a lot of sleep. The preschoolers are probably at 14 hours. Now, there was a great recent study that said if you want your child to thrive in kindergarten, they need 10 hours of sleep. They have a lot of social demands, a lot of academic demands, and those kids got that 10 hours sleep, did better in school. And I think that's a general rule through the school year. Teenagers per se need a little bit less in terms of the 8 to 10 hours, but we also have to keep them on a sleep schedule that's consistent with school. So even your teen, we need to get to bed sooner than their body may want them to. But really, sleep is important for their brain. They can't concentrate, they can't socialize. So do the math, figure out when you're going to get them up, count back that 10 hours, and start to move your child towards that bedtime.
Yeah, and so kids, they're going to want to have a say in their routines. I remember growing up having that debate with my parents. I wanted to, lay down the rules. So how much of a say should kids have in their own routines?
Well, I think with a lot of things, the parent should have an open conversation about what's healthy, what are the boundaries around on how much sleep is healthy, what nutrition is healthy. And then I think you work that out with your child. But I think you also have to explain to your child that they need sleep not because you're a mean parent, but because your child's brain needs to function as well as it can, and you're trying to help them succeed. Now, you might shift that a little bit on the weekends and other times, but it's all about focusing your child to say, how do you become the best student? How do you become the best athlete? These are things you need to do for your body, and work it together with your child.
Yeah, moving now to nutrition. Nutrition is essential for a child's health and development and helps them stay alert during the school day. So what would be a good breakfast to get the day started?
Well, I think we've got to move kids away from sort of that sugar rush up and down. As an Irishman, I like leprechauns, but some of those magical magical cereals kind of bring your sugar levels up and down. So a good protein in the morning, whether that's eggs or Greek yogurt or cottage cheese, give them a good dose of protein and some complex carbs that will get them through to lunchtime. Not a lot of sugar that will get them on that roller coaster of fading away and then coming back again.
And what do you suggest for a power boosting health snack for kids?
I think, there's some great websites out there from nutritionists that are working on healthy snacks for kids. Again, it's a mix of protein and complex carbs, but things like nuts and seeds, again, things like yogurts, things where you can give the child some control as well. They have some favorite vegetables that they want to have. That's a great snack. A favorite fruit that they want, that's a great snack. We want them, empower them to pick from what might be a fairly long list of healthy snacks and work with them to say, this is what your body needs, this is what your brain needs.
And I want to move now to germs, right? Germs can spread easily in schools and can be the source of group illnesses like the cold, the flu, and COVID-19 is also still a concern. So should parents talk to their kids about sharing items, including food and water bottles?
Sure. I think there's a long discussion about COVID safety and illness safety for that matter. I think that the issue around food is sort of how you're sharing it. I can pour some out for my friend, but I may not want them to stick their hand and, rub their nose and stick their hand in your bag of snacks. But I think the idea of water bottles is a lot of times we'll see strep going through classrooms, mono going through classrooms. So I think for the water bottle, I would say keep it to yourself. Don't share that water bottle.
And should they have them bring masks, hand sanitizer, tissues, things like that every day?
Absolutely. The school, we're still waiting for some of their guidance, but I think you want to teach your child about self-protection, about the hand washing, about the mask wearing when appropriate, and protecting themselves, staying away from kids that seem sick and away from that scrum of children where germs are flying around.
Heavy backpacks can be a really big problem, especially for young children. So what advice do you have on backpacks and weight limits?
Well, as an old backpacker myself, my shoulders ache some days just looking at Mount Washington. But I think for kids, we have to find that balance, right? We don't want kids having a backpack that weighs more than, let's say, 10 or 15% of their body weight. We want to help them with that backpack. The straps are there for a reason. It's centered for a reason. We don't want the backpack half off their shoulder and putting stress on one side or the other. Help to pack things so they can find them, and then help them pack in a way that they can carry that weight. And if you feel your child has too much in their backpack, let's work with the school. Perhaps there's ways they don't need to bring those heavy textbooks back and forth. And I think we want to keep our children safe. We want to keep their backs healthy, and that's the best way to get them back and forth to school.
Okay, Dr. O'Reilly with Bay State Health, thank you. After the break, we'll have a look at how to identify and address mental health issues with young children. You're watching 22 News in Focus. You're watching 22 News in Focus, and today we're talking about getting your children ready for the new school year with Bay State Health pediatrician Dr. John O'Reilly. Dr. O'Reilly, as a result of COVID-19, issues surrounding mental health have come to the forefront of medical care. So is the annual physical an opportunity for a doctor to screen for emotional, developmental, or social concerns?
Absolutely. I think there's a false dichotomy between mental health and physical health. And I think pediatricians are really attuned to screening kids. And again, I think kids can be more honest in questionnaires. And we'll start with a simple questionnaire, and that might lead to a more detailed one, whether there's a longer questionnaire about anxiety or depression, substance use. Pediatricians have a number of screening tools that we use. And then we create the space in which that opens up the opportunity to have a conversation with that child about their mental health and about the stresses in their lives.
And what do these screenings consist of?
Well, generally it's age-appropriate questions, in terms of, are they sad? Do they get anxious? Are they scared of things? And then they get into more detailed things in terms of, let's say, does your heart race when you're in a social situation? Do you have trouble finding that you're having trouble to catch your breath in a social situation? Are you sadder? Are you cutting? There's all levels of questions, and we kind of see the child, find out which are the most important questions for that child. But we really want to open up opportunities for that child to discuss what they're facing in their mental health or their stress areas.
And children can also be stressed out from various situations at home, including parents who are abusive or use drugs and alcohol. What can be done to address these problems to lessen their impact at school?
Well, I think pediatricians and the other group that really should get a lot of kudos are the mental health professionals in the school setting themselves, right? So a lot of kids go through a lot of trauma on multiple levels. Some kids turn it inward. So we'll see kids that are getting depressed, withdrawn, not as interested in their activities, or perhaps they might even notice that they're cutting and taking it out on themselves. Or there's kids that are aggressive and can't sit in their seats. They're causing trouble in school. And we identify those kids on a number of ways. And depending where that child's at, we try to investigate as to what might be the stress or trauma in their life. And then we work with the mental health team in the school and in the community to really come up with a plan to help that child face the issues they're having and succeed in school and at home.
And so some children may be going into a new school and having trouble making new friends. Some might also have test anxiety. So what are some signs that parents or caregivers should look out for if they're concerned about their child's mental health?
Well, I think the first thing to say is that every parent should try to create a space at home where they can have conversations with their child about anything. Could be about the child's anxiety, it could be what the kids are doing in the bathroom or what their friend is doing. And within that safe space, parents should be able to talk about stressors or anxiety and talk about, kind of reach out to their child, how does it feel getting ready for the new school? Or what happened with your friend over here? Having that space, and if the parent hears words for that child that seems like anxiety, boy, what can we do at home? How can I work with the school? And maybe I contact the pediatrician or a mental health professional to work with that. But the key is to prepare that space where emotional issues are one we can talk about at home and we can try to solve together.
And I want to move now to bullying. So bullying, both in person and now on social media, can damage a child's reputation and their self-esteem. Some children have committed suicide because of bullying. So I want to ask you, how should parents address bullying, both being a bully and being the victim of a bully?
Yeah, I think bullying is a real problem now. And again, with the cyberspace aspect of it, it's really huge. And I think there's the bully and the bully's issues, the victim, and even the bystanders who are sitting and seeing that and not knowing what to do. So for the child that's being bullied, first you have to say to them, we know, and find out about the details, but then say, we're going to work with your school to try to keep you safe. And we're going to go to the school and find out what they can be doing, and also for your child to come up with a bullying plan. who is the trusted adult that they can go to in the school setting? What do they do to have safety? And then sort of role play or coach them in a situation of bullying. What should they say? What should they do? Give your child some of the tools to get through the bullying, and then really work on the positives of the child, right? The self-esteem issues. Make sure they have other activities. Make sure they have friends to really counterbalance what's happening with the bullying. And if you find out that your child's a bully, it's really a sign that things inside of your child are also creating the situation where they become a bully. So I think the first rule is to say bullying, physical harm, psychological harm to others is never right. And then work with your child to say, let's work through what other options we have here. How can we do this differently? And also, how can we make amends to the kids in that school that have been bullied? And for the kids that are observing and sort of have that passive trauma, they don't know what to do, if your child's in that situation again, create a space in which they can say, you can go to this trusted adult in school. This is something you can do. So your child's not really holding that in and feeling that tension of not knowing that to do and feeling they didn't help their friend.
All right, Dr. O'Reilly with Bay State, we thank you so much for being on the program, and we'll have the last word after the break. You're watching 22 News in Focus. This is 22 News in Focus, and today we've been talking about getting your children ready for the new school year with Dr. John O'Reilly, Chief for the Division of General Pediatrics at Bay State Health. We thank you for being here on the program and sharing your expertise. And that's going to do it for our program today. We thank you at home for watching, and if you missed any of it, you can watch it in full on our website, wwlp.com. From all of us here at 22 News, have a great day.
From our 22 News Broadcast Center, this is 22 News in Focus.
Thanks for joining us for 22 News in Focus. I'm Ciara Speller. The United Way of Pioneer Valley has been serving our region for the past 100 years, from providing support to food programs and financial education to providing a social service network. The organization helps thousands of residents every day. Joining me today to discuss those programs and others geared towards children is Walter Rice, Director of Community Engagement for the United Way of Pioneer Valley. We thank you for being on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
Each year, the United Way of Pioneer Valley Stuffs the Bus initiative has worked with public schools in Hampton County, South Hadley, and Granby to bring school supplies to students who are homeless. So what is the Stuff the Bus?
Thank you for having me. Yes, Stuff the Bus is one of our signature programs at the United Way of Pioneer Valley, where we actually work with Peter Pan Bus Line to have all our backpacks from our community agencies and sponsors and donations go to homeless youth within all 25 cities and towns that the United Way of Pioneer Valley covers. And so we're very, very honored to make sure that the youth have backpacks stuffed with quality goods and making sure that they have a great first day at school.
And so who are the sponsors and who provides these donations?
Absolutely. So the donations actually are, we have donation bins at the Holyoke Mall, as well as Belize Auto Dealerships and other locations. And our sponsors are Peter Pan Bus Lines, as well as Western Mass News and wwlp 22 News as well, and many other sponsors.
And so how are the backpacks distributed?
The backpacks are distributed through us. So we actually have volunteers that come to the United Way Pioneer Valley location on Main Street in Springfield, where we'll actually stuff the bags with all the donations that we've received from the community, and then we will put them into the backpacks, and then we'll put them onto a Peter Pan bus line, and we'll deliver them to the school directly.
And so are you still looking for donations of items or money, and do you need any volunteers?
Absolutely. We are still looking for collecting some more donations as well as backpacks, but also we would love for the volunteers to help come and to provide those opportunities for our community. So if you are interested in volunteering, please log on to our website at www.pv.org.
Okay, and so let's also talk about where people can find more information about the program. You mentioned the website, but do you have any other social media or things like that?
Absolutely. You can look on for United Way Pioneer Valley on Facebook as well as Instagram as well.
Okay. And your youth development program includes an initiative called Youth Generate. So what is Youth Generate?
Youth Generate is a program that we partnered with the Palmer Public Middle School to establish different opportunities for like building a closet, and so for supporting the needs of the community and constituents.
And so there was another new program that you wanted to talk about as well.
Yes, and so the United Way of Pioneer Valley is creating a brand new program called Thrive to the Youth. It's a financial wellness program where the youth would be able to go through 6 courses, starting from budgeting and banking to working on credit, and having they'll be able to work forward on a plan for their budgeting and going forward on their stratification as they get their careers moving forward. So the program, we're actually piloting this with the Boys and Girls Club of Springfield, as well as we're working with sponsors like Freedom Credit Union and others to really establish this financial wellness program for youth.
And how are these programs funded?
They are funded through donations, but also grants, and as well as different businesses like the credit unions and banks as well.
And I want to ask you to talk about the pilot program involving Palmer Middle School students.
Absolutely, that program is actually wrapping up. It was a great success in that community, but it's wrapping up toward right now.
And are you looking for any other opportunities to expand that program?
We're currently internally looking at that, but we're really, really excited about launching our Thrive to the Youth program as well.
And what can our viewers do to help?
They can do help by promoting the word, as well as enriching with our financial wellness program. Different programs that supporting our local community agencies that provide that program.
And for our viewers who may be just joining us now, we were talking about the Stuff the Bus campaign. I want to just have you talk about that again, and the information that people at home should know about it.
Absolutely, and so there's Stuff the Bus is a great opportunity to help the youth that are homeless to have the best backpacks, so that we can make sure that they have a great first day at school and beyond. And so what we do is we have a lot of donations from the community agencies and sponsors, so making sure that happens with our Peter Pan bus line.
And what are some of the items that you're looking for? What do kids need most when they head back to the classroom?
Absolutely. Pencil sharpeners, pencils, pens, notepads, notebooks, and backpacks as well, and calculators.
Yeah, and how can the community get involved?
They can go to one of our donation sites, like at the Holyoke Mall or at Belize, or they can go to UWPV.org and donate directly to the United Way as well.
Yeah, and you talked about volunteers earlier as well. So what about
Absolutely.
volunteers? How can they get involved? Where should they go to, try and make a difference?
Absolutely. They can come down to 1441 Main Street in Springfield, or on our website, or call us, give us a call. My information's online, and we would love to schedule that. Next week will be the week that we actually pack and sort the bags as well.
And so what areas does the Stuff the Bus help children? Where are these children from?
Absolutely. So it's every single town and city inside Hampden County, as well as Granby and South Hadley.
Yeah, and how did this idea kind of come to be?
It's actually a program of the United Way of worldwide, and so a lot of United Ways do this program, but ours specifically is it's been long-standing here in the Pioneer Valley.
All right. And for more information about these and other United Way of Pioneer Valley programs, or to make a donation, you can go to their offices at 1441 Main Street in Springfield, or call 413-737-2691. If you're looking for information about local social services, we'll have that discussion when we return. You're watching 22 News in Focus. Welcome back to 22 News in Focus. Today we're talking about the services provided through the United Way of Pioneer Valley with Walter Rice, the Director of Community Engagement for the United Way of Pioneer Valley. So beginning in 2006, the United Way has operated Mass 211, a statewide information and referral line available 24/7 that helps people connect to social service programs and organizations in their community. Walter, I want to ask you, why is there a need for this hotline?
Absolutely. There is a great need for this hotline. There are many different individuals in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that rely on this hotline every single day, where they're looking for different items like food vouchers or field assistance, or where they can get housing vouchers. And so we There's a great need, and we have really worked toward really making sure Mass 211 is promoted to the community, because there's so many people that it really needs that personal touch. With Mass 211, you're able to contact directly to an agent at 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where someone will talk to you as you look through these different programs and agencies that will be able to assist you.
Yeah, and what are some of the services that people can connect to when they call?
Absolutely, and so it can be anything, up to like FEMA or ways to get onto SNAP benefits or housing vouchers. It really is the full gambit of social services in which the individual is really able to really connect with that one-on-one representative to really make sure that all their needs are addressed at that one phone call.
And what are the top areas of information that people request?
I would say that a lot of them are about housing insecurity as well as food insecurity and other issues that they're in needs of. And so we really work with Mass 211, and we actually have representation with that in our Springfield Service Center, where we work toward those items, things like how to help assist with your water bill or how to assist with housing eviction, and really work with community legal aid and other support systems in our community to really establish ways that we can really help that individual out.
And do you happen to know how many calls a year you get on Mass 211?
Absolutely. Around last year was around 33,000 calls that were reported.
So a really critical, essential resource right there. And so how is it funded? Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely, and so it's funded through grants, as well as different donations, as well as through funding the United Way itself, because the United Way out, and then in addition to that, it's through state and state and city grant as well.
Okay, and I want to move to this. A mental health hotline offered through United Way is Call to Talk. So what is Call to Talk, and how is it different from Mass 211?
Absolutely. Call to Talk is our suicide prevention hotline, and as well as emotional support system. So it differs because 211, you can reach someone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as well as with Call to Talk. But Call to Talk is more about suicide prevention. And so you'll have a clinician work with you directly, and a counselor work through the emotional needs that you have at that time.
And how does Call to Talk differ from the new national 988 suicide crisis lifeline?
It's actually in collaboration, and so it is when you call the national 988, you can be connected to Call to Talk.
And when did it go online, and how many calls has it received?
I believe it came online around 2008, and it has received many calls in the high thousands.
Yeah, I want to ask you, who staffs the hotline and how are they vetted?
Absolutely, and it's staffed through our volunteers, and so we have actually on site at the United Way Pioneer Valley Springfield location. We have a Call to Talk center that works with the statewide as well, and we have a supervisor, and so everything is connected to the main office in Framingham and streamlined and vetted. But it's usually graduate students that are working in social services and psychology. And
what about funding?
And it's funded through grants, donations, as well as through the city and the state funding as well.
And we talked about volunteers earlier on in the program, but are you looking for volunteers for either of these programs?
Absolutely, and so we would love for anyone to really come to our office or give a phone call, and we would definitely love to work about the application process and become part of Mass 211 or Call to Talk, because we could definitely use that. We've actually seen a spike since the pandemic, particularly with Call to Talk, where it has increased the number significantly since the program started. So these are programs that are very in need, and our community relies on these programs every single day. And so anything that anyone could do to volunteer, support these programs, it would be greatly appreciated.
And so maybe somebody at home is hearing about this and they're interested in becoming a volunteer. What's, the criteria?
Absolutely. The criteria would be to really make sure that, if you're able to volunteer, to really know the sensitivity, the privacy of Call to Talk, as well as any resources that you already know, to really expand with that. But we have a great service team inside Framingham that would be able to train any individual that's looking to volunteer to be really prepared to help our clients and constituents of this programs.
And how have you made this resource known? How do people know about Call to Talk?
We promote through all our social media as well as our website, and all our community partners and agencies that partner with United Way Pioneer Valley. We always promote Call to Talk. This is a extremely vital and very important program, and it's really good for our community to keep working with this program. Unfortunately, we can hear the calls in the office of many people that are, really looking for these services and the dire need of it. And so we really want to make sure these programs are well funded and well going for the community.
Yeah, and so you talked about there being, more of a need now with the pandemic and everything like that. Just talk a little bit more about that. What has that been like?
It's been unfortunate that the numbers have jumped up, increased due to the pandemic, but it's great that we have these resources to assist those individuals. Mental health is becoming more known and prevalent due to the pandemic, and Call to Talk is one of those programs to really help a lot of individuals, ranging from youth all the way to adults on these needs. And so we're making sure that we're able to really assist everybody with their mental health as well as their well-being, as well as different agencies to assist them on all their needs in their personal lives.
Yeah, and what's the biggest takeaway you'd want for our viewers to know at home right now, learning about that resource?
Absolutely, that they're there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you will always find a representative to assist you, whether it's through emotional support, suicide prevention, but also for different agency needs that you may or may not have, that you need services. You will meet a representative who will talk to you and guide you through those needs.
All right, Walter, we thank you so much for being here with us. And what's going on down at the United Way Springfield Service Center? We'll find out when we return. You're watching 22 News in Focus. Welcome back to 22 News in Focus. Today we've been discussing the programs offered by United Way of Pioneer Valley with Walter Rice of United Way of Pioneer Valley. So Walter, your organization now has a full-service one-stop service center on Main Street in Springfield. What is the Springfield Service Center and what does it offer?
Absolutely. The Springfield Service Center was actually opened in February of 2022, and so we're very, very excited about our Springfield Service Center, which has our Springfield Cupboard, which is our food pantry, but also has opportunity for vendors as well as different community agency partnerships that partner to really provide the best services. We have Dress for Success inside our service center to offer clothing for women, and then in addition to that, we have a book nook for youth, and then additionally we're working with right now Western New England University, on building a kiosk center for legal services as well. So it's going to be a full wraparound center where you can have that, but our staff has also trained on Mass 211 and to assist with any needs of looking for things like SNAP benefits, or if you're looking to receive housing, we direct them to all the different agencies for those as well. So we work with our great community partners. We've had great vendor tables that have also assisted in the service center and really empowering our community.
Yeah, a lot of resources in that one center. And so what are the items that you need the most right now?
We could use men's clothing as well as anything for youth and children. In addition to that, food that are shelf stable, and we would always gladly take food donations that are shelf stable for our food pantry.
And so for the clothing, are they gently used? Are they new? What are you looking for?
Absolutely. We would love anything that's new, gently used, and for both men and women, because we do have that Dress for Success program as well. So we would really love anything that we could give out to our population. We have a high need within the homeless population around the service center, and so we love to give out clothing and anything that we can to support our constituents.
And how does somebody apply for the food pantry?
They can come directly to the Springfield cupboard or the Chicopee cupboard, and all they would need to do is just speak to an attendant. And we're open in the Springfield Service Center from 9 to 1 a.m. on Wednesdays and 2:30 to 4:30 on Tuesdays. And we are excited because we're launching our brand new Chicopee cupboard, which is going to be our grand reopening on August 16th between 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. in 226 Exchange Street.
All right, and so additionally, you have the Feed a Family initiative. Talk a little bit about what this program is and how our viewers can help.
Oh, absolutely. This, typically it's usually Feed a Family for $50. And so this program is really about a holiday drive to making sure that our families and the constituents of the cupboards, but anyone that is in need, has the best fixings to a great holiday meal. And so the $50 goes toward a turkey and all the fixings and a dessert, and making sure that our families have the best opportunity to have a great family dinner together. And so that program was a great success here last year in our Chicopee location, and we're looking forward to expanding it to both Springfield and Chicopee, as well as in Holyoke as well, to really making sure that our families have the best opportunity for the best holidays.
And you also have the Thrive Financial program. So what is that and what does it offer?
Absolutely. And so we have our free one-on-one coaching as well as our seminar style classes for financial wellness. And so we have our great coaches that offer both, if you're looking at like an agency or part of a community and you want to take a class starting with banking and ending up with credit, and we have that program so that you can attend those 6 classes and become better equipped to really budget, better equipped to work on your savings, better equipped to work on your credit. But in addition to that, you can also schedule appointments to work with one-on-one with a coach. It's 100% free, and anyone's able to sign up at any time. All you have to do is go to our website, www.uwpv.org, and meet with a coach or give a phone call to one of our financial coaches. And we would, as well as on social media, through Instagram as well as through Facebook, connect with our team to really book those appointments and receive the one-on-one coaching. We've helped clients, start from different credit scores in different ranges to improving their credit scores, paying down their debts, increasing their savings, and we have had great success rate with this program. We've had a lot of great funders through various banks and different institutions that help fund this program, and we are all over. We have locations inside the Palmer Public Library, the Chicopee Library, the Pathic Building in Holyoke, the Westfield Library, as well as our Springfield Service Center, our Chicopee location, as well as virtual and Zoom and a phone call as well. So we are there to help anyone in the Hampden County as well as Granby and South Hadley communities and working on their financial wellness and empowerment.
And I want to ask you now about your digital inclusion program. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And so our digital inclusion program is one that we saw the great need during the pandemic of digital equity. A lot of individuals didn't have computers that were able to really be well equipped to do the demand of being home. And so the United Way of Pioneer Valley worked with our great sponsors and partners like the Holyoke Chamber of Commerce and various others to really get Chromebooks out to our clients. And so this has been primarily given to our Thrive clients, where we're able to work on those clients that really needed to have that digital equity, especially during those times and beyond, because as we all know now, everything is more digital since the pandemic. And so we just want to make sure that everyone has the equity and everybody has the access to getting their needs met through the digital inclusion program.
All right, Walter Rice with United Way of Pioneer Valley. We thank you. And for more information about these and other United Way of Pioneer Valley programs, or to donate, you can go to their website. We have that information on your screen. Also, you can call that phone number. You've been watching 22 News in Focus, and today we've been talking about programs offered by United Way of Pioneer Valley with Walter Rice of United Way of Pioneer Valley. Walter, we thank you for being on the program with us today and providing this important information.
Thank you.
And thanks to you at home for watching. If you missed any of it, you can watch it in full on our website. That's wwlp.com. From all of us here at 22 News, have a great day.